Hello, Hathorians, and welcome to another episode of Leadership Forum. Today, we're joined by Hathor Labs' new CEO, Volker. Volker, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. Thanks for asking.
Amazing, amazing. Well, listen, today it's the promised AMA. So, over the last course of the month, we asked you questions, the community about what you'd like to ask our new CEO. And we collated all those questions and we've now listed some of the top answers. So, I'm going to read these out to Volker and then we'll take them from there. So, Volker, you ready?
Yes, of course. Anytime.
Amazing. Let's go. So, Volker, I've written actually down all of these questions. So I'm just going to read them out as of the Google form that we have. So the first question I have is directed to you, of course. What strategies will the CEO and his team deploy to increase the attractiveness of Hathor's project?
Well, that's going to be addressing a number of strategies. So I can name you a few. Like, for example, we want to prioritize the release of Nano Contracts. That has been an ongoing demand, and we're working on it. We want to attract developments, more use cases, Web 2 and Web 3.0, of course. We're working on the EVM bridge, which is basically the interoperability within the space we are in already, and to make it more closer to user and community close. We are attending conferences, educational seminars, and of course webinars on a frequent basis. We are working with more reputable software houses, even trying to build the connections. And of course, we work on all kinds of partnerships. Again, Web 2, but also Web 3.0 inside Brazil, but more so also international.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I like the way you touched on, building the brand awareness, Web 2, Web 3, events. Most importantly, something on everyone's lips, nano contracts. So I'm really pleased to hear that answer. And speaking of events, I mean, I was personally in Dubai last week. I know next week, in the coming days, you're going to be in Switzerland at the CV Summit. And actually, you and I are going to be in Lisbon in a couple of months. And, I'll be also be in another
Couple
couple
of
of
weeks, not month.
and also, I'm going to be at the Future Blockchain Summit in a couple of weeks as well. So we have a jam-packed H2 and Q4 coming for events. So yeah, I think that answers enough for attractiveness of Hathor's project because we're out there showing how attractive it is, So going on to the second question I have here, and it is, where will the CEO and his team see Hathor in the next 5 years?
Of course, well developed, technically, business wise, matured to a significant size. And of course, with a global footprint, which I put a strong emphasis on. And of course, well positioned in the industry and hopefully and most likely in a league with other very significant players.
Yeah, I mean, look, the global step is one of the probably biggest steps and biggest changes we've had, and that I've personally seen and the community seen. Like outside of our core team, hiring a new CEO like yourself outside of Brazil, really shows that. So yeah, maturing, and here's to the next 5 years. Cheers. So moving on to question number three. As a CEO, what would you consider your biggest strength? And on the other hand, is there some specific thing that you'd like to become better at?
Well, I think some of my strengths is visionary thinking and also strategic thinking, long-term thinking, which adjust with our strategy to come, goal-oriented, and of course, strong leadership capabilities. Where I want to become better at, generally speaking, there's always potential for improvement for anybody I've met, anybody I know and I talk to. And as none of us is perfect, I'm constantly working on my technical expertise, blockchain specific capabilities to make sure that I'm up to date and of course understand the latest state of the art technology developments.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, you and I have spoken quite a lot, and I can see coming into the blockchain space, You've grasped it very, very quickly, and we have quite
Frozen.
intricate conversations about the industry and what's happening now. And me in the community, being the head of community, it's my job to know this, and I've been around for a few years. But yourself, you've grasped it very quickly, and that's probably because of your your tech background, and we'll go into that a bit later. So yeah, great. So moving on to question 4. Until now, Hathor's focus is on Brazil use cases without any presence abroad. Is it something to maintain or change in the near future? Will you redirect Hathor to an international presence? If so, how?
Well, first, I should emphasize our network in Brazil is extremely strong. We have a very strong footprint in the market. And of course, we will continue to leverage this. Traditional finance, working use cases such as the tokenizadora, the B3, are very well functioning in Brazil. And more so, these could be great examples of a use case for outside Brazil for international. A global approach is needed. We know that that's our strategy in addition to this, but we will never replace Latin America or Brazil as it is our core market. The solution, of course, some of the solutions are like leverage our network, attend global events, partner with international technology firms and companies. One thing I should mention, currently there's a lot of global regulatory effects on each part of the world, and those do impact our current international decision-making processes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I feel like, you know, if it's not if it's not broken, you don't have to fix it. Like our connections within Latin America and Brazil, where how far we've come with, for example, you look at B3, stock exchange, token is Adora, some of the biggest banks, Santander, Itaú, privatizing bonds using Hathor's tech. And loads of things, having a presence with the Central Bank of Brazil. We are a layer one that has support, has government regulators speaking with us on stage, and this is something really unheard of around the globe. So, and when I was actually in the UAE, I'm in the UAE, but when I was at the conferences last week, when it comes to stuff like tokenization and the governments pairing up with crypto protocols, it's unheard of. They're really trying to find their feet. So it's great to know that we have found our feet, and you can't neglect that. But also a global presence is super important. So hopefully I see that we take what we know and do well here and then spread it around the world. So yeah, great answer there. Moving on to question 5. This one kind of relates obviously to me because I'm from the community. So it's interesting to ask you because it's quite common that the community would ask about leadership team and so on, dropping in and speaking to you guys. And the question is, are you aware that the community trust in Hathor is very low at the moment? And what are you planning to do about it?
Well, currently, as we know, the industry is in a bear market and bear market conditions, which means the general interest in blockchain and cryptos has deteriorated for a bit. We all know that, of course. However, what we've also have seen in the last 2 years is sort of a natural selections, while basically the substantial companies are still here, while the weaker ones might have been weeded out already. So this extended bear market affects, of course, all protocols that try to varying degrees. Some experience it to a greater some experience it to a greater extent than other companies. Of course, it's a natural consequence considering that many people's expectations have not been met yet in the community. Nevertheless, our internal focus remains firmly oriented toward the long-term thinking. We are very committed to our continuous development, technology-wise, company-wise, aligning our technology with the market demands. Having said that, I firmly believe that there are areas of improvements on our part that require attention to reignite our momentum and position Hathor at the forefront of the charts again.
Sure. Yeah, I strongly believe with what you said. I guess that there are things we should also be proud about in the sense that, of course, like you said, market conditions, bear market. We can't control these things, but in terms of a communication strategy and how active we are, actually, if community members have a look, like we trial and test you, see how often other protocols are communicating, especially during these market conditions. We're attending events, we're a very public team. we're out and about. We like to show that we're out and about, and we communicate as often as more than a few times a week. We update our community with voice podcasts and leadership forums like we're doing now. So, but that doesn't excuse things like, for example, tech promises and so on. So I believe, with the right changes, as you mentioned earlier on as well, like, things look really, really good and promising. And of course, it also has to match market demands. So look, from my side, you and I have spoken a lot on the community front as well, and we have some great plans in the pipeline. And over the last, couple of years, things have strongly improved in terms, but unfortunately, communication has increased, but market condition hasn't favored that. So we look forward to bringing more because, like you said, there are a lot of improvements we can make, and I'm looking forward to doing that under your leadership. So yeah, great one there. So moving on to question number 6. Will there be a shift in, it's a very similar question actually, will there be a shift in communication strategy under your leadership with a stronger emphasis on in engaging directly with the community and improving crypto communication focus in general, given that this has been a prominent request from our community members? So I guess it's basically to deal with communication to the community, and more so on the crypto side. We do communicate a lot, but a lot of it may be Web 2 and may not be crypto focused. So what do you think about that question?
One general statement I want to make: we want to deliver on our technology promises, which is our number one priority. Coming to your question, of course, in more detail, we have an amazing community, and I agree that many of their requests are extremely valid. Which is why we conduct, for example, surveys to learn and take action to the best of our capabilities and abilities. With new technology in the pipeline, we also want to empower our community of users and developers so we can assist them to build and contribute to the network we have. The institutional use of Hathor is a focus of ours, but we believe the community's contributions are very and extremely important. For example, a new website is underway and a lot of projects are in the pipeline at the moment, which will be communicated accordingly in line with our communications plan.
Yeah. And I've seen some of this stuff, especially the website, a huge community ask over the last couple of years, and I can just say, props to the comms team, especially Natalia, Diego, and yourself, and all the leadership team, really looking through these things with a fine-tooth comb. There are some great things in the pipeline, guys. So yeah, no, thanks for your answer there. And moving on to a more personal question about your background. What made you decide to leave a traditional tech company for a job in an emergent and young industry like blockchain? Specifically, what made you decide to join a young project like Hathor?
It's funny, I get those questions frequently when I attend events and conferences. People ask me, why did you leave AI with the current hype and join blockchain? Well, there's a number of answers, of course. I always have believed in the noble ideas and the principles of the Web 3.0, meaning that user data privacy and less dependency from classic monopolistic structure is very, very high priority, very important to me personally. And currently we have these monopolistic structures. We see them in the Web 2.0 ecosystem. Right from the beginning, Hathor has impressed me with its great potential and also great technology solutions. And I intend to move the company to the next level with a lot of activities that we have in the pipeline. The conversations with the founders, Marcelo and Jan, that not only have reassured me about their visionary technology points and visions and also the view in the blockchain field, but also they have convinced me of their technical capabilities with the Hathor technology solutions.
Amazing. Yeah, that's definitely good to hear. And I know you just touched on Marcelo and Jan. Actually, our next question mentions Marcelo directly. It says, Marcelo recently mentioned cost predictability as one of the key elements for companies. How can you ensure cost predictability under the model when the price appreciates and the token creation is too costly? Do you think more of a sustainable model can be implemented? If so, how will it work? So this were a bit more around tokenomics and type of finance. So it's a bit specific, this question, but if you can chime in, that'd be great.
Yeah. Well, with our model right now, there's a distinction between the initial investment in Hathor tokens and, of course, ongoing operational costs. So companies and also users, they will always need to make an initial investment in a certain amount of our Hathor tokens to utilize our platform. However, the unique advantage in general, of course, of the model is that after using the tokens, if there's no longer a need for them, they can always be resold in the market, meaning there is a market value on them. So this feature adds an element of flexibility and liquidity to the investments that are made, making it more predictable in terms of recouping the costs. So that's the first part of the answer. When it comes to the operational costs of a project, it is very essential to know that our transactions are at the moment at 100% free. So this is currently an intrinsic feature of our innovative architecture, and more so, no transaction fees to worry about, which is eliminating ongoing operational costs related to transactions for users, companies, customers. So our clients have recognized this fee-less transaction feature as a game changer, and they appreciate our platform for its ease of integration, user friendliness, speed and scalability, and of course, fee-less transactions. So this combination of benefits ensures that the Hathor Network is well positioned to provide a sustainable and also a cost-effective solution for companies and users alike.
Yeah, well, thank you for the detailed answer and transparency. Well, I think it's super different and important. So thank you so much for breaking that down. Actually, the next question I have is within the tokenomics actually type of question, something similar again. And this question is, how will the miner reward inflation be addressed? So will Hathor consider implementing a burn mechanism into other features besides tokenization and NFTs to combat this?
Well, generally answered, inflation is low. We do have a transaction goal, which means once you reach an amount X of transactions per month, then we can address the cost positive mining inflationary costs. That's very technical, very cost oriented. We have reached in the meantime our halving rate, but we do not have a burn mechanism, as it is very difficult to be measured. In order to get close, we can use several scenarios where we use assumptions in order to calculate things.
Well, look, thanks for the answer. Actually, I've seen this question come up quite a few times, and it's great that we're addressing them now because they're quite intricate and technical questions, but they do help a lot of people, especially curious community members, builders, and so on. So, and especially the miners, So, thank you so much for going into that a bit. And staying within the tokenomics, we've got another question, and it's actually directly mentioning nano contracts. So I saw the word nano contracts, it just stood out to me. So let's read this one. Will the launch of nano contracts be accompanied by a grant program aimed at expediting the development of the Hathor ecosystem? So this is quite a punchy, big question. We're at layer one. Nano contracts is a builder's feature. It's an equivalent of a smart contract that we've been saying is plug and play. It's incredible, but people need to build using it. So I guess the main focus on this question is surrounding nano contracts. Will it be hand in hand with a grants program? So yeah, tell us about that if you can.
Well, we're committed to fostering the growth of the Hathor ecosystem on two important fronts, and that addresses now the questions. Our grant program remains active until otherwise posted, and we've made just some refinements to ensure a high return on investment for the projects that we are actually supporting. Our aim is to assist promising projects with infrastructure, making sure they have the resources needed to get them running and to nurture these projects so they can become successful. That's the first part. Regarding Nano Contracts launch, it'll be accompanied by an extensive marketing campaign. You can be sure on that. We want the world to know that our highly anticipated innovation is now live and operational once we're there. This campaign will ensure that the broader blockchain community and potential users are aware of the groundbreaking development, helping to drive adoption and the excitement surrounding the entire Nano Contract project.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt about that. I guess like it is a no-brainer, right? Like
Mm,
contracts, it's a big part of us. You know, it's something that's been uh, on minds for some time now. Something that we speak into existence. You know, and it makes sense that we make sure that this sort of education on this, you know, revolutionary tech gets out there, you know, and that goes hand in hand with marketing budgets, awareness
mm,
campaigns, and so on. So it does just make sense to really make sure that when the tech is live, we go all out, you know. So yeah, thank you so much
mm, mm,
for that. So, actually, moving on to another section now surrounding technology and development, surrounding nano contracts. I'll read this one out to you. When it comes to nano contracts, Hathor wasn't able to deliver in time. Will you change the aspect which makes holding the coin painful? Actually, this is quite a cool question because
mm,
it's a raw community question. Like you see this
mm,
all the time, you know. And actually,
mm,
as a question within the community, our community admins are always like, "Hey, we can't talk about price," you know. But the bottom line is that's what's on the community's mind. Like nano contracts is delayed, you know, the price is low, so it's a very raw question, but I'm sure the community are going to really appreciate it. So if you
mm.
can chime in and answer that one, that would be awesome.
Hmm. Well, first of all, we very deeply appreciate your understanding, the community's understanding regarding the delay in delivering the nano contracts. We recognize nano as a major innovation with vast potential opportunities. But we must also acknowledge that our engineering team's resources have been allocated strategically to ensure comprehensive support for our key clients and meet the requirements of potential use cases, which have been identified as a critical priority. Rest assured, we are committed to balancing these priorities and are now refocusing our efforts much stronger on nano contracts to bring this groundbreaking technology to blossoming and so to creating a brighter future for the Hathor ecosystem and for our community.
Yeah, and I guess you know you touched on prioritization of, you know, like
Mm,
uh, our developers and so on. Guys, it's very true. You know, of course, over the last couple of years, we've mentioned, you know, the pilot of nano contracts and so on, but you know, loads of things had come up. You know, we've got some really important tech out there at the moment that I feel like. For example, Token Isadora, tokenizing all these private bonds, the announce of
mm,
B3, all of these, you know, new exciting use cases that are out. They do require time, and of course, we wouldn't have these great use cases that are continuously helping us actually. And there's a lot more to come surrounding these types of institutional use cases without prioritization. So I totally see, and it's great that we talk about nano, we're addressing it directly, these concerns, because you and I both know, and that, you know, it is a top priority. You often say it in all of our meetings, as does Marcelo, Jan, and so on. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it. And touching on your last question, hand in hand with the right marketing, the right awareness, the right education, I feel like it's going to be really worth the wait rather.
mm,
So amazing. I'm going to move on to the next question here, and this is surrounding hardware wallets.
mm, mm,
This question is: Hathor has no direct integration with hardware wallets like Ledger. Is a full integration with Ledger Live and others a priority for you, or not really? So this is quite a good question. We have, of course, our native Hathor wallet, and actually we
mm,
do have an integration with Ledger, which is in a developer mode, which
mm,
makes it it adds an extra couple of steps.
mm,
And Ledger Live is basically a mobile version friendly of the Ledger wallet. It's available on some of the newer ledgers that
mm.
allows you to really use keep your HDR on your phone whilst using the hardware. So yeah, direct integrations with Ledger or any other hardware wallets, is that something that's a priority for us? Or
Mm. Well, certainly the integration of hardware wallets like Ledger in users mode is a priority for us. We fully understand the significant demand from
yeah,
the community. While we're actively pursuing this integration, it's important to clarify that we don't have a specific timeline for
Yeah.
the implementation at this moment. The process of achieving full integration with platforms like Ledger Live requires a substantial financial investment. We are firmly committed to using our existing resources prudently to ensure the holistic growth and the advancement of the Hathor ecosystem. It is worth noting that we have a comprehensive tutorial available for using Ledger in developers mode, which functions seamlessly, even though a bit more extensive. Additionally, and rest assured that our native wallet is already highly secure, having undergone rigorous testing, including an ongoing bug bounty program. And furthermore, we've taken proactive steps to enhance security within the Hathor ecosystem by creating a detailed document outlining best practices for security tips. So this document serves as an invaluable resource for our community, offering guidance on how to safeguard assets while using our platform. We strongly encourage our users to consult this document to bolster their security measures and ensure a secure and worry-free experience with Hathor. Again, and I want to emphasize that, security of Hathor Network is one of our main priorities.
Absolutely. No, I think you're spot on there. Especially with Hathor Wallet, we're refining it. We're bringing so many new features out with it. And guys, it's true what Volker's saying. With these integrations with Ledger, you have to go through applications, and there is a process and actually a waiting list as well in terms of when the tech gets fully developed. So I guess our intentions are definitely there, to make HTR accessible to more wallets and have it on intricate features like Ledger Live and so on. And our number one priority is security as always. So thank you for touching on that, Volker. And I'm going to move on to another technical question. I know we're throwing all these technical questions at you, and you've just recently joined us, so appreciate it. But some of them haven't been answered, and it'll be great for our new CEO too. So the next one is surrounding hash rate. So the hash rate has dropped significantly. What arguments does Hathor Labs use to convince clients that our security is robust even after hash rate drops like this? So that's quite a good question. It's following up from security we've just spoken about when it comes to wallets, and now we're talking about network security, which is dependent on hash rates and mining and so on. So could you chime in on that?
Well, three reasons I can give you. One, some mining pools were having some integration problems, which caused the hash rate on our network to drop. Some other pools, they just didn't continue mining anymore. And three, we have run updates on our nodes. So these are the major reasons for the decline in the hash rate. Thinking about it in economic terms, the more miners there are, the more perfect market conditions we can reach, which means the system gets more and more secure with an increasing number of miners.
Yeah, that makes sense. Combination of market conditions, miners being available, change of nodes and so on. And also depending on some of these mining pool partnerships and so on, sometimes there can be hiccups there. So thanks for addressing that. And I think we've got quite a few more questions left. We've made this actually one of probably our longer AMAs, just a quick insight to the community, because generally we do 4, 5, 6, 7 questions, but we wanted to make sure we could go as extensive as possible on this one. So we have quite a few more questions to go, and then I'll go into the next question. The next question is, are there specific industries or sectors that you see as particularly suitable for integrating Hathor's technology? How do you plan to identify and approach potential partners in these industries?
Yes, I do, but for competitive reasons, we won't disclose the exact details at this point yet. Hathor's technology is incredibly versatile, finding applications across diverse industries and sectors. To identify and engage potential partners effectively, we adopt a strategic and a collaborative 4-step approach. First, we start by conducting a very extensive market research, meticulously analyzing sectors and businesses that stand to benefit from our technology. This process, of course, involves a deep dive into their pain points, challenges, and existing technology infrastructure, enabling us to tailor our solutions effectively. Second, Actively, we participate in industry events, conferences, and forums as a cornerstone of our approach. This engagement allows us to connect with potential partners and vividly showcase the advantages of Hathor's technology. The next one, we craft partnership proposal aimed at software houses and companies. These proposals underscore the unique value that our technology can bring to their operations. And last but not least, is our community, of course, which is an invaluable, important asset in identifying potential partners.
Sure. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We often see members always, saying, "Oh, why don't you do this?" Or "You guys should speak to these guys." And those are the community members that really we see those messages. They're very very empowering for us. And everything you spoke about it's just spot on. It makes sense. I guess we have to look at one thing as well. Our tech is so easy to implement. It's built in a very easy way. So when we look at any type of industry, it'll be quite easy for them to implement blockchain technology, especially our blockchain technology, because we're not talking about intricate languages like Rust or so on that need very specific builders. We're talking about Python and programming languages you can build on Hathor. Hathor's built could be used anywhere around the world. So it's exciting to see which industries that will come. I know strategically you can't mention some now, but thank you for answering some of that question with what you can share at the moment. Okay, so last couple of questions now. The next one is quite a long question, but I like this question. It targets you specifically, Volker, and it's given your AI background. Now, AI has been, really, really hot topic this last 12 months. So it was only right. I think this question came up a few times, and we've chosen the longest one here. So given your AI background, could you elaborate on the specific intersections you envision between AI and blockchain within Hathor's ecosystem? Are there any AI projects or initiatives that you believe would be particularly suitable for Hathor to integrate with? And how do you foresee these synergies shaping the future of the platform?
So the current hype we see in AI language processing models is an example that can provide a significant benefit to Hathor's business approaches in a number of ways. Especially as blockchain solutions have great potential to make AI a decentralized and more transparent, or make it more transparent. Or let me put it differently. AI can evolve to become sort of a catalyst for the rise of blockchain solutions. While blockchain-driven technologies are able to make AI language processing solutions more transparent, especially when such AI solutions are used to train various language processing models. So I'm jumping back and forth between both fields. And now I'm getting a little more philosophical. But one main question in the current context is, where is the world going with the current AI solutions? And one way to solve this puzzle can be found in the blockchain toolkit. The immutability and transparency of the blockchain technology can provide the necessary substance check for AI. So the other way around, AI tools will be able to support crypto platforms to filter the necessary data, protect information, and improve the blockchain user interactions. That said, to prevent fraud, for example, AI bots will be able to prevent crypto cyber attacks through penetration testing. How? By, for example, simulating bot attacks that can reveal the weaknesses of smart contracts used by hackers to manipulate or steal money. Those were just a few technical explanations of the entire intersection of both significant fields to come.
Yeah, I like the examples you touched on actually, because they're hot topics. They're things that affect us as a community, as an industry. You hear about big protocols, successful liquidity pools, whatever it may be, and one hack, one discrepancy, and it's almost over. So talking about stuff like AI to audit, and look after things like smart contracts, and of course, when you look at like a lot of the AI use cases now with ChatGPT, or even some of these like editing tools, like for even in Adobe Master Suite or Canva,
mm,
you find that AI technology is getting linked to quite simple Web 2 technologies and processes. And blockchain, is a very transparent and an easy
mm,
to understand solution as
mm,
transparent tech. So using AI, what I got from that is to make it safer and more robust is a great way to look at it. So thanks for that. That really
mm,
excites me. And Volker, I'm sure there are, but we actually got to the last question here, and the reason why I guess this best till last, because I believe this is a question that comes up all the time, and in a blunt way, we ignore it because we can't really talk about within the community, or the admins mainly don't know much about when it comes to exchanges, token price, and liquidity. So I'm going to ask you one more question, and it's
mm,
surrounding like liquidity and centralized exchanges. The question is, how does the team plan to address liquidity of Hathor tokens and broadening the availability among major CEXs, so centralized exchanges? Currently, there are no top tier exchanges offering HTR, and there are no more options for USA investors, which is a big part of the community.
mm.
This from this community member. Can you go into that a bit further for us?
Mm. Well, indeed, while Hathor tokens currently enjoy the listing on two of the top 10 global exchanges, we are fully aware of the significance of expanding our accessibility. So liquidity is always a crucial factor, but our utmost priorities lie in fulfilling our technological commitments and generating tangible utility for the Hathor token. This
Yeah,
involves onboarding a growing number of use cases that are
yeah,
not only aligned with existing global regulation and regulatory requirements, but also
yeah,
elevate our relevance in the blockchain space. We
yeah,
firmly believe that as we continue to deliver our technological promises and forge partnerships with use cases that adhere to regulatory standards, our prominence will naturally increase. This trajectory will position us very favorably, making
yeah.
exchanges keen to collaborate with us in the evolution of our promising business. It's all part of our strategic approach to sustainable growth and to success in the blockchain industry for Hathor.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. When you look at it from a strategic view, I know you guys have these conversations, and it seems like a no-brainer to me. I guess when I reread this question, I do believe we are on some of the top centralized exchanges, like KuCoin and
Mm,
Gate, for example. They're really good exchanges, especially KuCoin.
mm,
A very very prominent exchange, very easy to access. I know, on the other hand, this community member has mentioned the US investors and so on. We totally understand that. But you touching on, hey, it's
mm,
either, we can focus on these things, but in order to get the right attraction, also from bigger exchanges and so on, you need more utility on the token. So focusing on, like, use cases, and of course the development and release of nano contracts, and more institutional use cases. This is what's really going to bring in the awareness and the increased numbers of community members. And then, of course, comes hand in hand with
mm,
liquidity and more centralized exchanges. So yeah, that one answers that. And I think, Volker, that's a wrap for now. To be fair,
mm,
thank you so much for joining us for a slightly extended leadership forum, answering a ton of questions for us. The questions, they're all very relevant, and I'm sure the community will like that you addressed a lot of them. So guys, that's it from Volker. It's his second time, actually. We introduced him on the last episode. You can see that also on our YouTube channel, but certainly won't be the last time you see Volker as we circle around the leadership team. Volker, it will be great to have you here again in the near future. And
mm.
I know you're going to be at the CV Summit in the next few days. I hope it turns out to be really great. I'll be catching up with you there, and I'm sure we'll be also catching up with the community as and when we meet together in other events in the near future. So until then, safe travels, and
Mm.
have a great time next week. And thank you for joining today.
Well, thank you very much. A great pleasure. I think the community deserves, of course, long rounds of questions and answers. So it's a great pleasure, and yeah, talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care. And Hathorians, good night. Cheers.
Bye.